Locked On NHL Game Night alongside Tyler Feldman. I'm Cam Stewart, previewing the 5 biggest storylines heading into this Stanley Cup Final, and we have now reached storyline number 5. McDavid last year, it was such a huge deal. Finally, the generation's best player is going to play on the biggest stage. He wins the Conn Smythe, but it's in defeat as they lose in the 7th game. Now they get another crack at it. And here we are. This is year 10. Connor McDavid. He's getting a second crack at the Stanley Cup Final. They're going to need to pay even more guys that are part of this core. All that to say, you don't know how many they're going to get back to here. How important is this for Connor McDavid's legacy as we look back on his career when it's all said and done to win this Stanley Cup this year?
Cam, what do all of these guys that I'm about to read have in common? Jarome Iginla, Joe Thornton, Curtis Joseph, Pavel Bure, Matt Sundin, Jeremy Roenick, Henrik Lundqvist, the Sedin brothers, Marcel Dion, Eric Lindros. What do those guys have in common?
They are amongst the... I'm glad Ray Bourque isn't on this list, by the way, is what I'm thinking. They're amongst the greatest players ever in this sport that have not won the Stanley Cup.
And it bums you out, doesn't it? Now, I was also going to mention Ray Bourque. If you're Connor McDavid, as beautiful as the Raymond Bourque, Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup victory was for him and his legacy, there's a reason there aren't many moments like that in the NHL. That is a particular moment. I think if Ray Bourque was to have it his way, he would not have had to wait that long. Now, for Connor McDavid, Ray Bourque, 2 different players. Ray Bourque, very good, Hall of Famer, incredible player. With Connor McDavid, you're talking about a guy who needs to cement his legacy with at least 1 Stanley Cup victory. You look at Wayne Gretzky, he has 4 cups. Sidney Crosby has 3 cups. Mario Lemieux has 2 cups. This is a guy, a multiple-time Hart Trophy winner, multiple-time MVP guy. Scoring champ, the Art Ross Trophy, multiple times, regarded as the most talented player of his generation. It has been a joy to watch his career grow over the last decade, which, by the way, you said 10 years. It is crazy to think that Connor McDavid has been doing this professionally in the best league in the world for a decade. He needs a Stanley Cup. He deserves a Stanley Cup, and you don't get many opportunities to go back-to-back. That's hard to do. You have a great core. You've got Leon Draisaitl on your squad. You've got a talented group of teammates. It's dealing for Connor McDavid. It's how do you deal with that individual pressure to cement your legacy in the ultimate team sport? That balance is so tricky. However, if you've seen the way in which Connor McDavid has performed and played on a nightly basis in these Stanley Cup playoffs, Cam, it just feels different. Yeah. There's a sense of certainty in his game, in the way he's playing, the way he's producing. It certainly matters, Cam. You'd be silly to say this does not matter for Connor McDavid. This is legacy cementing opportunities that don't come around very often that you need to take advantage of.
And on the Ray Bourque point, too, like real quick, there are a lot of guys who have failed the Ray Bourque path. You know, you mentioned a couple, like Jarome Iginla goes to Pittsburgh, then goes to Boston. It doesn't work. And all of a sudden, he's a 3-year deal in Colorado and his career's over. Joe Thornton trying it at the very end with Toronto. You know what I mean? Some of these guys, it doesn't work. And when you look at, I'm going to go over a stat that you've probably already heard before, but I'm going to do it anyway. When you look at the Stanley Cup Final rematches, there's only been 3 in the last 40 years. And it was New York Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers, the early 80s, captained by the name of Wayne Gretzky, best player of his generation, loses the first one, wins the second one. That's his first Stanley Cup. Let's
Arguably
go to
the best player of his generation.
I could argue that. Mario gives some good competition, I know. Go into the last rematch, right? Pittsburgh and Detroit. Captain, young fella by the name of Sidney Crosby. I'm still going to argue best player of his generation. Okay? He loses the first one, wins the second one. It's his first Stanley Cup. And now we're past kind of the Crosby generation. we're still looking out on the horizon to the Morgan Geeky, Gavin McKenna generation here. Sticking with the Connor McDavid generation. Lost the last one, captain of his team. If he wins this one, it's his first Stanley Cup. If you are into the NHL history the way I am, and that kind of poetic crap, then maybe, just maybe, this has to be Connor McDavid's year. Does it have to be? Maybe. Although I don't think either of those guys won the Conn Smythe before him, by the way. Crosby did not. I don't think Gretzky did either in 84.
Look, again, you make a great point.
Is it a storybook ending?
He's got to win one. He has to win a cup.
Really should win more than one, actually. I know that's a high standard, but we're talking about the best ever.
Well, think about Crosby. Won in 09, and then it took 6-7 seasons, and they won back-to-back in 16-17. So everyone's journey is different.
I mean, heck, it took Yzerman 15 years to win one, and then he ends up spearheading a dynasty. So,
and now look at the Red Wings. Going
yeah.
full circle on the Panthers dynasty talks. If a city and team like the Detroit Red Wings goes through the cycle, there's, of course, the Panthers are going to go through that cycle. No one is safe, Cam.
Well, sure, yeah. Look at the Penguins these days. Look at the Bruins who didn't even get the dynasty.
Brutal.
So, hey, at least you got that. Anyway, those are
bold prediction, Cam.
Go ahead.
Connor McDavid gets his first Stanley Cup.
Ooh,
I'm telling you.
50-50.
I'm telling you.
That's a Tyler Feldman.
I see what you did there. I see. But if you look down here, it's with a D, okay?
Tip of the cap guarantee right there that the Oilers will win. I'm going to save my prediction, if that's okay with you, because we've got all kinds of other storylines that we're not going to call storylines going on this week before we start.
Cam, what if we allow the listeners and viewers to comment storylines that they want us to talk about the next couple of days?
That's a great idea, Tom.
We're doing this Monday. We're doing this Tuesday. Maybe we'll leave predictions for Tuesday. Maybe. But what other storyline should we talk about the next 2 days? This will be the only day with me on the cowboy hat on top of my head. So
that's a real bummer. Get in the comments.
If you really enjoyed it, great. And sorry that it won't be coming back, at least in the near future. If you did not enjoy the hat, let me know. Tell me what I did wrong.
Either way, let us know in the comment section. Get involved in that comment section. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It tells our boss that we're doing a good job. So do that.
Oh, it does?
Free. Yeah. I
got to get my burners fired up here, Cam.
Yeah. Tell everyone you know, and then tell them to tell everyone they don't know. You can find us here on YouTube, and of course, wherever you get your podcasts every night, building up to the Stanley Cup Final, and definitely after every game, hearing from the local experts and the chumps like us. Tyler Feldman, I'm Cam Stewart on Locked On NHL Game Night.